Before a king enters the city, a trumpet is blown. Before a war begins, the troops are positioned. And before the rain comes, the clouds gather. Nothing significant ever happens without a sign. And you, chosen one, you are the sign. You were never selected for comfort. You were not chosen for applause, entertainment, or convenience. You were set apart for a final step, an assignment that comes before something shakes, before something shifts, before destiny bursts into full expression. You are the alarm clock of heaven to a generation that is fast asleep. You are not here by accident. You are not just one among many. You were born as an answer to a problem this generation didn't even know it had. You are the solution wrapped in skin. And the truth is, the moment you entered this world, something shifted. Why? Because you carry the sign. In every divine timeline, before God moves in a nation, in a city, in a family, He raises up a person. That person is not the crowd, not the audience, not the one sitting and watching from the sidelines. That person becomes a living prophecy, a walking announcement, a signal that heaven is about to break into earth. That's who you are. Not a spectator to history, but a signal of heaven's next move. Many are waiting for the move of God to arrive like a firework, a spectacle in the sky. But heaven doesn't send fire first, it sends people. God's pattern has always been to send a person before He sends a power. Moses was assigned to Egypt before the plagues ever came. Joseph was assigned to Pharaoh before the famine hit. Esther was assigned to the palace before Haman's plot unfolded. Jesus was assigned to the world long before the cross became a reality. And now it's your turn. You've been placed where you are not just to experience history, but to fulfill prophecy. This generation has enough spectators, enough people who are inspired but immobile, stirred but still sitting, watching revival clips on their phones while their neighborhoods die in spiritual drought. God did not assign you to be a follower of trends, but a forerunner of truth. That's why you've never fit in. That's why you've always felt different. It's not rejection, it's revelation. You are not like them because you were not sent for what they sent for. You are a divine signal that it's about to happen, and those with spiritual eyes will see it. You were not given that dream, that vision, that spiritual hunger just to satisfy yourself. You were given it to awaken others. The burden on your chest is not random. It's a divine notification. That weight you feel when you see spiritual laziness, that fire that burns in you when you sense people sleeping on their purpose, that's not annoyance. That's assignment. It's the sign speaking through you. It's heaven shouting through your convictions. When people look at you, they may not understand you. They may question your intensity. They may think you're too deep, too radical, or too serious. But that's because they're still trying to treat you like a spectator, while heaven is revealing you as a sign. You're not trying to be dramatic. You're just in sync with something they haven't heard yet. You've caught wind of a storm they don't see coming. You're preparing for a rain they haven't felt yet. That doesn't make you crazy, it makes you called. A sign doesn't need applause to function. A sign doesn't need to be understood to be effective. A stop sign never apologizes for standing still and bold at the corner. It simply does its job, warning, alerting, guiding. In the same way, your life is positioned to interrupt, redirect, and awaken. You are not here to blend in with the flow. You're here to disrupt the direction of destruction. When people meet you, something in them should begin to shift, not because you're loud or forceful, but because you're consecrated. Because you're carrying something weighty. You're not just another voice in the crowd. You're carrying the frequency of heaven. The atmosphere around you changes not because of your charisma, but because of your calling. The Spirit of God has marked you to be a living intersection where earth encounters eternity. When people meet you, They should feel like they've bumped into destiny. But here's the danger. When signs start to act like spectators, movements die. When the ones who are called to lead start copying the crowd, the people suffer. And when the sign goes silent, generations lose their direction. That's why the enemy has worked overtime to make you doubt your assignment. That's why he tried to bury your confidence, poison your identity, and paralyze your voice. He knows you're dangerous. He knows that if you ever accept the truth about yourself, you'll wake up others. You're not just a believer, you're a builder. Not just a worshiper, you're a warning. Not just a Christian, you're a conduit. You don't need to wait for permission to be what heaven already called you to be. God never required votes to validate vision. You're not waiting on man's approval. You already carry divine authority. Step into the space. Walk into the rooms. Speak the truth. Stand on the promise. Don't downplay your discernment to make others comfortable in their spiritual blindness. Don't dilute your fire to avoid offending the lukewarm. You are not a decoration in the kingdom. You are a declaration. Everything about your life is prophetic. Your testimony is not just survival, it's strategy. Your pain was not just a test, it was proof. Your process was not just personal, it was public preparation. Others will walk into freedom because you walked through fire. And now your life announces to the world, it's time to get ready. Something's coming. Heaven is about to move. So rise up, chosen one. Stop sitting in rooms that mute your message. Stop dimming your light to blend with shadows. You were sent to stand out. You were created to cry out. You were born to call others out. You are not just a part of the timeline. You are the turning point. You are not just in the story. You are the sign that the next chapter is here. You can always tell who's expecting something by how they prepare. Expectation has a sound, it has a posture, it moves differently, it plans differently. When someone is truly expecting a move of God, you don't have to ask them. They're already preparing, they're adjusting their life, they're setting things in place, they're getting in alignment. Expectation without preparation is just empty hope dressed in religious language. It sounds good, but it holds no power. You see, heaven doesn't respond to noise. Heaven responds to readiness. And in this kingdom, preparation is the loudest proof that you believe what God said is coming. Noah didn't see the rain, but he built the ark. That wasn't insanity, that was faith, that was obedience, that was preparation. While others laughed, mocked, and lived their lives as usual, Noah's hands were building what had never been seen before. He didn't need a weather forecast. He had a word. And when you have a word from God, you don't wait for signs to act. You act because you trust the one who spoke. Faith without preparation is not faith, it's fantasy. If you believe God is about to move, why haven't you moved yet? Preparation is what separates the spectators from the servants. It separates the curious from the committed. It draws a line between those who want to see something happen and those who are willing to be a part of what happens. So many people say, I'm waiting on God, when in truth God is waiting on them. Waiting on them to build, waiting on them to plan, waiting on them to clean the house, clear the space, and make room for what's coming. God does not pour new wine into old wineskins. He does not release destiny into disorganized spaces. If your hands aren't building, why should heaven be sending? Joseph didn't interpret Pharaoh's dream just to impress him. He interpreted it with strategy. He saw what was coming and he prepared for it. He didn't just say, God will provide during famine. He made room for that provision by storing grain during plenty. That wasn't a lack of faith. It was an expression of wisdom. Divine wisdom sees what's ahead and moves in advance. Real faith doesn't sit and wait for manna to fall. Real faith builds barns. It organizes. It restructures. It makes plans that align with prophecy. Jesus too prepared long before he preached. He was 30 years old before he started his public ministry, but he was preparing every step of the way. He studied, prayed, fasted, and grew in wisdom and stature. He didn't step onto the scene unprepared. Even after his baptism, the Spirit led him into the wilderness for 40 days. Why? Preparation. He didn't need it to prove who he was. He needed it to prove he was ready. Because no matter how great your calling, if you're not prepared for the pressure, the platform will crush you. And let's talk about pressure. Preparation is what strengthens you to carry what God is about to pour out. The weight of glory is heavy. The assignment is not light. If you think you can casually walk into destiny without discipline, you're deceiving yourself. The oil comes with crushing, the crown comes with a cross, and the outpouring comes with order. You cannot ask for the fire of revival and still live with the habits of rebellion. God does not bless mess. He blesses structure. He blesses stewardship. He blesses the vessel that is ready to carry His will without cracking under it. Why do you think God gave you that vision? So you could wait and watch? No. He gave you a vision so you could start preparing for it. Write the business plan, build the room, practice the sermon, study the skill, learn the discipline. You're not too early. You're right on time. Stop waiting for someone to discover you and start preparing to be undeniable. When the opportunity comes, it will be too late to start preparing. Your preparation must precede the moment, because when it shows up, it will be sudden. And only those who have been preparing in private will be ready to move in public. This is why preparation is spiritual warfare. The enemy fights your preparation more than your praise. He knows a praising person can still be unprepared, but a prepared person is dangerous. A prepared person is focused. A prepared person isn't distracted by foolishness, offended by small things, or delayed by drama. A prepared person understands timing. They know when to speak and when to be silent, when to move and when to wait, when to confront and when to walk away, when to confront and when to walk away. Preparation gives you discernment. It sharpens your senses. It conditions your spirit. When you start preparing, something powerful happens. Heaven takes notice. Hell gets nervous. People get curious. They start wondering, why are you fasting? Why are you waking up early? Why are you praying more than usual? Because you know something they don't. You feel something coming. There's a shift on the horizon, and you refuse to be caught off guard. When others are sleeping, you're sowing. When others are partying, you're planning. When others are doubting, you're building. Not because you're better, but because you're aware. And awareness is a gift that comes with responsibility. Look around. The signs are everywhere. There's a shaking in the nations, a stirring in the spirit realm, a shifting in the atmosphere. God is positioning His people, reassigning mantles and awakening warriors. If you can feel it, don't ignore it. Don't wait for confirmation that you already received in your spirit. This is your season to prepare like you've never prepared before. Get your house in order. Get your finances aligned. Get your relationships purified. Get your mind sharpened. Don't just dream, develop. Don't just believe, build. Don't just talk about what's coming, train for it. Preparation may look small to others, but it's everything in the kingdom. David's preparation was watching sheep, killing lions, and writing songs when no one was looking. That's what qualified him to slay Goliath and sit on the throne. Esther's preparation was months of purification before she could enter the king's presence. That's what positioned her to save a nation. Your preparation season is not punishment, it's positioning. Don't despise it. Don't rush it. Don't compare it. Honor it. Master it. Because when heaven moves, it moves quickly. And only the ready will reign. Being chosen doesn't mean being celebrated. It means being responsible. It means carrying weight when others are still playing with purpose. It means staying up while others sleep, watching while others wander, and moving while others wait. If you are truly chosen, your life isn't just about you. It's about those attached to your assignment. You are not selected for isolation, but for impact. And that impact begins not when you reach the stage, but when you start mobilizing others before the moment arrives. The world has trained us to think of leadership as elevation, power, visibility, influence. But in the kingdom, leadership is activation. You are chosen to call others forth, to stir gifts that are asleep, to ignite passion in people who have settled for less, to awaken potential in those who don't yet believe in themselves. Your job isn't just to climb to the top. Your job is to make sure others are ready to rise with you. That's the weight of being chosen. God never calls a leader without attaching people to their calling. Moses wasn't chosen to escape Egypt. He was chosen to lead a nation out. Deborah wasn't chosen just to judge. She was chosen to mobilize Barak and the army. Paul wasn't chosen just to be brilliant. He was chosen to build the church. Jesus wasn't sent just to live sinless. He was sent to equip disciples who would carry the message after the cross. Real chosen ones don't just make moves. They make people ready. If you think your assignment is just to get yourself prepared, you've misunderstood the mantle. This isn't about personal perfection. It's about corporate preparation. There are people assigned to your voice, your leadership, your obedience, and if you delay, they remain stuck. If you stay silent, they stay confused. If you don't lead, they won't move. Your yes is not just about you. It's about the many who are waiting to see you walk in what God called you to do. The enemy is not just after your purpose. He's after everyone your purpose would liberate. This is why you feel the urgency, why you can't rest when others are relaxed, why you feel burdened while others are blessed, why you sense a shift that others are blind to. It's not because something is wrong with you. It's because you've been marked for leadership before the moment comes. You've been positioned ahead of time because your job is to position others. You are the one called to blow the trumpet, to gather the scattered, to shake the sleepers, to raise the banner before the battle breaks out. But hear this clearly. Mobilizing others is not easy. It takes patience, wisdom, and relentless love. People don't always want to be woken up. They don't always recognize your voice. They won't always see what you see. But your job isn't to be understood. Your job is to be faithful. Your job is to cry out in the wilderness, even when the crowd is still dancing in the city. Your job is to point to the horizon and say, get ready. Something is coming. Something is shifting. Align yourself. And whether they listen or not, you keep calling. To mobilize others means to get them out of comfort zones and into commitment. It means pulling people out of distraction and into discipline. It means helping them shake off passivity and put on purpose. This is not motivational speaking. This is prophetic responsibility. You are speaking to destinies that don't even know they're asleep. You are calling warriors who still think they're weak. You are confronting laziness in people who have gifts the world needs. And it might cost you. They may resist you. They may mock you. They may walk away. But you weren't called to be liked. You were called to lead. And leading in the kingdom doesn't start with a mic. It starts with movement. It starts with seeing someone sitting in the dark and handing them a candle. It starts with lifting heads that have been bowed by shame, speaking life into bones that feel dry and saying, you matter. You're needed. You're part of this. Mobilization is not about gathering followers. It's about creating fighters. People who will carry their own weight, stand in their own callings, and become signs in their own right. You see, the final move of God will not rest on one person. It's not going to be the era of celebrity prophets, lone apostles, or spotlight preachers. It will be a body-wide activation, a movement of sons and daughters who are all on fire, all in position, and all prepared. But that can't happen unless the chosen ones do their job, unless they stop making the mission about themselves and start preparing the others. You were chosen not to be the only voice, but the first voice. Not the final answer, but the one who wakes up the ones carrying pieces of the solution. That's why God has placed people around you, not just to support you, but for you to prepare them. Every conversation you've had lately that felt deep, every random connection that suddenly started talking about purpose, these aren't coincidences. These are assignments. You've been trusted with influence, with perspective, with fire. And fire is not meant to be admired, it's meant to be spread. You can't just burn alone. You've got to pass the flame. You've got to light the torches of those who have grown cold. Stop asking God to do it all and start doing what He already gave you power to do. Mobilize them, speak up, mentor someone, pray with someone, challenge someone, call someone higher, tell them what you see in them. Stop waiting for them to get it. Help them get it. That's what chosen ones do. They build people while others build platforms. They raise up warriors while others raise up brands. They are obsessed with being impressive. They are obsessed with being effective. You are the alarm clock for a people that don't know the hour. You are the trumpet before the battle, the map before the journey, the invitation before the encounter. God trusted you with that role because He knew you would not just protect the oil, you would pour it. He knew you wouldn't just enjoy the revelation, you would release it. He knew you wouldn't just enjoy being chosen, you would embrace the responsibility that comes with it. When God sends a signal, it is not a suggestion, it is a summons. It is a divine instruction meant to be acted upon, not pondered indefinitely. When the Spirit speaks, He does not speak for sport. He speaks because heaven is moving and the earth must respond. Delay, when a signal has already been made clear, is not just disobedience, it is dangerous. Because the window of destiny is not always open. The Kairos moment, the appointed time, does not wait for you to feel ready or for everything in your life to align. When God signals, He expects movement. Delay can cost you more than time. It can cost you access, opportunity, and divine alignment. There is a difference between preparation and procrastination, and many hide fear behind false humility, calling it waiting on the Lord, when in truth God has been waiting on them. The problem is not clarity. The signal has already been sent. The instructions are known. The conviction has been confirmed. The vision has been revealed. But the feet are still stuck in indecision, and the hands are still tied by doubt. Let me tell you this plainly. Hell loves a delayed chosen one. Because while you wrestle with confidence, the enemy is moving unopposed. While you hesitate, the ground you are meant to claim is being invaded. While you seek comfort, the calling grows stale. When Saul was commanded to wait for the prophet Samuel before offering the sacrifice, he allowed fear and the pressure of the people to push him into action, wrong action. He didn't wait for the right signal, but many today do the opposite. They wait when they were told to move. Both are disobedience. The danger of delay is that it gives the enemy space to corrupt the moment. Delay invites distractions, detours, and even deception, because when you sit too long on what God told you to do, your mind begins to reinterpret it, your heart starts to resist it, and your flesh finds excuses to avoid it. Every time God has moved in history, it has come with urgency. Noah didn't have a century to waste. He had a generation to save. The Israelites had a moment to put blood on their doorposts before the angel passed over. Lot was told to flee Sodom immediately. The wise virgins were ready when the bridegroom came, but the foolish ones delayed, and the door shut in their absence. Delay isn't neutral, it's costly. It's a spiritual breach. And if you've been chosen for something in this season, let this be a wake-up call. Move when He says, move. The issue is not always rebellion. Sometimes it's the subtle deception of waiting for perfect conditions. But Ecclesiastes 11:4 says, whoever watches the wind will not plant. Whoever looks at the clouds will not reap. In other words, if you keep waiting for ideal circumstances, you will miss divine timing. Destiny doesn't come with perfect clarity. It comes with clear conviction. That stirring in your spirit, that repeated confirmation, that dream that won't leave, that idea that keeps burning in your soul, that is the signal. Stop asking for another one. You don't need another fleece. You need faith. The chosen ones are not those who always feel ready. They're the ones who move when the King signals. Because readiness is not a feeling, it's a decision. Readiness means you may still be shaking, but you step anyway. It means you still have questions, but you obey anyway. It means you might not know the full plan, but you trust the voice. Obedience is time sensitive. When Jesus called Peter out of the boat, there was a moment, just one moment, where faith met opportunity. If Peter had paused too long to calculate the waves, he would have missed the miracle. Let's be honest. Some delays are not because we don't know what to do, it's because we fear what obedience might cost. The price of stepping out, the judgment of others, the possibility of failure, the weight of responsibility. But when God gives the signal, He already factored in your fear. He already accounted for your weakness. He knows you're not perfect. He just needs you to trust Him enough to start. The miracle is not in the knowing, it's in the moving. The anointing doesn't fall on the hesitant, it rests on the obedient. You must understand this. Divine signals are seasonal. Just because a word is true today doesn't mean the window will still be open tomorrow. The signal is not just about information, it's about timing. When the water is stirred, that's the moment to jump in. Not next week, not when your bank account makes sense, not when your emotions catch up. Now. Because sometimes what God has for you is time-stamped. You can miss it by waiting too long. And nothing is more tragic than watching someone walk in a door that had your name on it because you paused when you should have pressed. This is not a game, this is war. And the ones who are chosen cannot afford to be casual. Your delay has ripple effects. It delays the people connected to you. It slows down the preparation of others who are watching your life for direction. It gives the enemy space to entrench himself in territories you were assigned to overthrow. You must move, not out of anxiety, but out of assignment, not out of pressure, but out of purpose. Because when God sends a signal, He is saying, this is your moment. Heaven is aligned, the angels are assigned, the grace is present. Go now. And for some of you reading this, the signal has already come. You know it. It came through the dream, through the word that keeps resurfacing, through the divine encounter you can't explain, through the burden that won't lift. And still you linger. Still you wait for a sign more impressive than the burning in your bones. But chosen ones don't need more signs. They need more resolve. You don't need another confirmation. You need to confront your fear. God doesn't repeat Himself endlessly. There's a moment when He says, I've said what I needed to say, now obey. You were not called to be a statue. You were called to be a signal yourself. And that begins by responding quickly when heaven speaks. Swift obedience is your weapon. Prompt action is your breakthrough. Stop overthinking, stop hesitating, stop delaying. Get your house in order. Send the message. Start the business. Preach the word. Pack the bag. Sow the seed. Launch the ministry. Write the book. Whatever He told you to do, do it. Because when the signal comes, delay is not just dangerous. It can be deadly to destiny. There's a level of accountability that comes with being chosen that many never talk about. We shout about favor, we dance about calling, we testify about breakthroughs, but few understand the weight of being entrusted with people's preparation. When God chooses you, He doesn't just anoint your head, He assigns your hands. You become responsible not only for the vision you carry, but for the readiness of those connected to it. Heaven does not just count how well you ran your race. Heaven examines who you prepared along the way. The kingdom has always operated by delegation. God moves through people, and when He assigns a chosen one, He attaches souls, cities, and systems to their obedience. You are not moving alone. You're dragging nations behind your yes. This is why silence can be sinful, why hesitation can be harmful. It's not just about your purpose. It's about the people who are supposed to be awakened, equipped, and aligned because you said yes on time. Your assignment has impact beyond what you can see. Every instruction you receive from God carries a ripple effect, and when you delay or deny it, the wave doesn't stop. It simply crashes somewhere else. Often in the form of confusion, loss, or delay in someone else's life. God has always held His leaders accountable for others. When He called Ezekiel a watchman, He didn't just tell them to hear, He told them to warn. He said, if you see the sword coming and you don't sound the alarm, their blood will be on your hands. That is weight. That is holy fear. That is divine accountability. It means if you are chosen to see what others can't, you don't get to choose silence just because it's more comfortable. You don't get to hide behind insecurity when people's destinies are tied to your voice. Leadership in the kingdom is not a title, it is a trust. And God does not trust people with purpose unless He expects results. If you've been called, if you've been stirred, if you've been set apart in this generation, then you carry a heavenly expectation to prepare others. That means God is not just watching what you build, He's watching what you birth in others. Who have you stirred? Who have you equipped? Who have you corrected? Who have you trained, challenged, awakened, covered, lifted? Because the proof of your calling is not in your spotlight, it's in your stewardship. The chosen one is the bridge between where people are and where God wants to take them. You've been given foresight, revelation, and discernment, not to hoard it, but to hand it out. The downloads you receive in prayer, the insight that hits you while others are sleeping, those are not for your journal only. They are marching orders. They are keys meant to unlock doors for others. And if you bury them in fear, laziness, or self-preservation, you are withholding heaven's strategy from those who need it most. This is why the chosen are often burdened. That burden is not punishment. It is purpose pressing on your shoulders. It is heaven saying, I need you to move because they cannot move until you do. It is God saying, I've put them in your care, not because you're perfect, but because you're called. And when God puts people in your care, spiritually, emotionally, or even physically, He expects you to prepare them for what's coming, not out of fear, but out of faith. Not out of panic, but out of prophetic urgency. If you don't take the responsibility seriously, it's not just your destiny at risk, it's theirs. You might get another opportunity, but they might not. You might be able to recover, but they might collapse. That's why Moses was judged so strongly. He didn't just misrepresent God, he misled the people. His disobedience wasn't just a personal issue, it became a national consequence. As a chosen one, your actions either pave the way for others or block the flow. There is no neutral ground when you are the one carrying the torch. When God anoints you, He is saying, I trust you with my people. That's no small statement. That means He believes you can bear the tension of leadership, the weight of responsibility, and the discipline of preparation. And part of that preparation is ensuring that others are ready to step into their roles, ready to fight their battles, ready to receive their instructions, ready to endure the storms. You don't get to sit back and say, well, I'm good. If they're not good, you're not finished. If they're still lost, then you still have work to do. The accountability doesn't just come later, it's active now. Every day you wake up with people looking to you. God is watching how you respond. When people ask for guidance, are you giving them truth or just comfort? When others are discouraged, do you call them higher or just nod silently? When God tells you to speak a hard word, do you soften it until it's ineffective? Remember, you're not just a messenger, you're a leader. And leaders don't just deliver, they develop. You were not anointed to be impressive, you were anointed to be effective. And effectiveness requires confronting, correcting, and commissioning. It requires that you not only prepare yourself for what's coming, but that you demand readiness in others. You must see their potential before they see it. Speak to their calling before they feel it. Push them into obedience before they're comfortable. Why? Because God will hold you accountable for what you refuse to awaken in them. You may say, that's too much pressure. But if God chose you, then He built you for it. You're not doing this in your own strength, you're doing it by divine appointment. And the Spirit who chose you is also the one empowering you. But He will not do for you what He expects through you. The Holy Spirit is not a crutch for delay. He is fuel for obedience. He will give you what to say, when to say it, and how to say it. But He won't say it for you. That's your job. And He's watching to see if you do it well. This is why some of you can't sleep, why your spirit feels unsettled, why you feel an urgency even when nothing around you looks urgent. Because God is calling for action. He is requiring movement. He is reminding you that readiness is not a solo project. It is a corporate command. He didn't just choose you to shine, He chose you to shape people, to stir nations, to set order, to prepare the troops. You are not called to be cute with the anointing, you are called to be dangerous with it. Dangerous to laziness, dangerous to fear, dangerous to confusion. Because when you lead, others follow, and when you obey, others awaken. So understand this, God is not just watching your gifts, He is watching your impact. And when you stand before Him, He won't just ask what you did with your talent, He'll ask what you did with your influence. Who did you prepare? Who did you warn? Who did you lift up? Who did you leave behind when you were told to bring them with you? The chosen one is not only accountable for the mission, they're accountable for the movement they were assigned to ignite. There is a misunderstanding among the chosen that must be corrected. Many believe that the final step before the promise manifests is action. That once you take the step, once you launch the project, once you speak the word, once you put your hands to the plow, that's when destiny begins to move. But the truth is far more spiritual than practical. The final step is not action, it's alignment. Because what good is a step taken if it's outside of divine order? What good is movement if the heart, the spirit, the posture, and the priorities are not synchronized with heaven? The chosen must understand that God is not just looking for motion. He's looking for mirrored obedience. He's not impressed by busyness. He's looking for alignment. Alignment is what unlocks power. Alignment is what attracts divine backing. Alignment is when your will bows to His. Your desires yield to His timing. Your plans dissolve into His purpose. That's when the heavens open. That's when the anointing flows without resistance. That's when favor surrounds you like a shield. Not because you're moving hard, but because you're moving right. There is a dangerous temptation to believe that progress alone pleases God. That just doing something, even if it's birthed in ambition, fear, or human logic, is enough. But God does not reward motion, He rewards obedience. Saul acted, but he was out of alignment. He made the sacrifice, yes, but it was not his to make. He did something, but not what he was told. And that was enough for God to remove his hand. Why? Because in the kingdom, alignment is authority. When you are aligned, you don't have to fight for influence. It comes. You don't have to force doors open. They swing wide because you are standing under heaven's flow. Alignment is deeper than agreement. You can agree with God and still not be aligned with Him. You can say yes with your lips while your heart is calculating options. You can shout amen on Sunday, but negotiate obedience on Monday. Alignment means your whole being, your thoughts, your motives, your movements are calibrated to God's frequency. It means you're not just pursuing a dream, you're walking in divine order. You're not just fulfilling a calling, you're carrying it in the timing, tone, and texture God intended. This is why some people are gifted but ineffective, anointed but unfruitful, loud but unnoticed, because though they've acted, they have not aligned. God is not obligated to bless something just because you're passionate about it. He blesses what He orders. He provides where He sends. He moves where He's honored. And alignment is the ultimate honor. It says, God, I won't move ahead of you. I won't fall behind you. I won't improvise what you've already designed. It's saying not just your will, but your way. Not just your purpose, but your pace. To align means to surrender not just your decisions, but your timing. Some of the most dangerous disobedience doesn't look like rebellion. It looks like rushing, like getting tired of waiting and deciding to make it happen in your own strength. But God is not mocked by impatience. He won't bless what you birthed out of anxiety. He won't breathe on what you forced. Alignment means you trust His pace, even when it frustrates your plans. You don't just move when you're ready, you move when He's ready. You don't just speak because the opportunity looks right. You speak because the moment is right. Alignment also requires order. God is not chaotic. He's not random. He builds in patterns. He establishes principles and He expects protocol. Some are wondering why they haven't stepped into promise yet, but they're still out of order in key areas. They want the palace but refuse the process. They want elevation without submission. They want influence without intercession. But God won't elevate what's disorderly. He won't expand what's unstable. He won't promote a voice that hasn't been purified. You must align your habits, your relationships, your character, your stewardship. All must be submitted. The enemy knows this too. That's why one of his greatest strategies is distraction, disguised as opportunities. If he can get you slightly out of alignment, off just enough to where you're still busy but not effective, still working but not anointed, still seen but not sent, then he's won. Because misalignment robs your authority. It empties your power. It disconnects you from the supernatural flow. You're still moving, but you're grinding instead of gliding. You're striving instead of soaring. You're burning out because you're not burning in Him. When you're aligned, however, everything shifts. There's a rest in alignment. Not a laziness, but a divine ease. It doesn't mean there's no resistance. It means your resistance is met with reinforcement. You start hearing God clearly. You sense what others miss. You respond faster. You walk in discernment. You don't chase, you attract. You don't compete, you complete. You don't panic, you perceive. Because your ear is close to His mouth and your heart is leaning into His rhythm. That is where power lives. That is where breakthrough happens. The final step for the chosen is always internal before it becomes external. Alignment is not just the posture of your life, it's the posture of your soul. Can God trust your motives? Are you still trying to prove something to people He already removed? Are you building from healing or from hurt? from calling or from competition, from intimacy or insecurity. Alignment is not about impressing the crowd, it's about being approved in the secret place. Can God say, this one walks with me, this one waits for me, this one trusts me, even in silence? Alignment is what makes your action meaningful. Without it, your steps are just noise. With it, your steps become strategy. And the difference between surviving and conquering, between potential and promise, between delay and dominion, is alignment. It is the secret of sustained power, the engine of divine favor, the doorway to multiplied impact. Because when a chosen one is aligned, all of heaven moves on their behalf. The earth responds, the winds shift, the doors open, the enemies flee, not because of who they are, but because of where they are, in position, in place, in power. So yes, take the step, launch the vision, speak the word, but first look within. Are you aligned? Are your motives pure? Is your heart still surrendered? Are you moving with God or just for God? Because in the kingdom, the last step before manifestation is never just motion. It is divine positioning. It is getting under the flow of His will so fully, so deeply, that your yes echoes in heaven like thunder. That is the chosen's final step. Not just action, but alignment. And once that's locked in, nothing on earth or in hell can stop what God is about to do. So now, chosen one, hear this. The time for delay has ended. The hour is not coming, it is here. Everything you've been prepared for, every storm you survived, every wilderness you walked through, every lesson that broke you, shaped you, and refined you, it was all for this final step. But remember, the step is not just about movement, it is about alignment. God is not rushing you to act, He is calling you to be in position. Because when you are in position, the power flows. When you are aligned, the oil falls. When you are surrendered, heaven responds. This is not the moment to play small, to second guess your assignment, or to shrink under the weight of responsibility. You were born for this, you were chosen for this. And the proof of that choosing is not the applause of men, but the accountability of heaven. Others can afford to play games. You cannot. Others can ignore the call. You cannot. You are responsible for more because you were trusted with more. And God will hold you accountable not just for what you did, but for what you failed to prepare in others. So rise now, not just as a leader, but as a watchman. Rise as a voice crying in the wilderness. Rise as the one who knows what's coming and is bold enough to get others ready. Because the final step is not just about you. It's about the generations behind you, the souls tied to your obedience, the movement that won't begin until you do. The final step is alignment. And once you align with heaven, everything shifts.